Sean, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. I watched The Mill last night, and I really, really, really liked it a lot, man. It reminded me of a little bit of Old Boy, just with
Mhm.
the aspect of him just waking up in this strange location out of nowhere. What made you want to direct a film like The Mill?
I was actually looking for something that there was a script that I read and loved that I couldn't get the rights to for some complicated reasons. And it featured a guy waking up in a different type of room, didn't know how he got there, and it ended up being this like wild dystopian science fiction thriller that took place mostly in this one room. And I met with had like a meeting with this guy Josh Feldman, who ended up becoming my producing partner, and we made the mill together. And now we're doing other things. But he asked me a question that people don't usually ask you in these kinds of meetings, and he's like, "If there's one type of thing that I can go look for you, what kind of movie would it be?" And I started breaking down this other script that I had read. And he got this look on his face, kind of like see the wheels turning. He's like, "I read a thing a while back. Let me see if I can get that one." And so, like an hour later, he's like, "Hey, I talked to the writer Jeff Thomas. The script's available." He sent me the script. I read it that night, and it was just like this absolute fever dream of a sci-fi thriller that dealt with the exact same themes that I'd wanting to approach in a way that I felt was contained and novel, but also extremely cinematic. So it was like I knew we could make it look cool. I knew that it dealt with like it's always with the movie you want it to be entertaining, but I also you're going to spend a year of your life on this at the very least. I want to make sure that it's saying something about society, or at least holding a mirror up to society and making people think a little.
Oh yeah, and what I loved was your camera work, the way that you're jarring shots of like you're there, like you're up close, you're right next to Lil Rel the whole time, like you're feeling what he's feeling. Was that something that you're like, no, I have to be there with him at all times? Was that something that you wanted to do when you thought about directing this film?
Yeah, that was sort of like a conversation between me, Rel, and the cinematographer Seamus Tierney. Was we decided that we wanted to shoot Joe's experience like a documentary
Yeah,
because the world that he's in is so heightened and might feel so kind of like absurdist or surreal to people that we wanted to make sure that his journey felt real. And so we were like, when I say we shot it like a documentary, there's a handful of specialty shots in the movie where we were maybe on a dolly or had the camera up on a ladder to kind of see things from like Mallard's POV or from the cameras, not from the camera's POV necessarily, but from a third party observer's point of view. But most of the movie, we were handheld. We were right in there with Rel capturing his experience exactly like you would a documentary.
that's awesome, man. Now, I gotta say, I love Rel, but everybody knows him more as he's a comedian, and he blew me away in this film. He brought so much strength and vulnerability to this role. You can really feel the pain in his eyes, like when he's like he feels like he has nothing else to do. Like he's he wants to just get to his kid, right? Was he your top choice to play Joe? And like, how easy was it with him as your main character?
Yeah, so I had produced a movie called I Love My Dad,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Rel has a supporting role in that film. And watching him on set and seeing the way that like the seriousness with
Yeah.
which he approached his comedy and just the way he took his work and himself, not in like the negative way of like taking yourself too seriously, but he took his work very seriously. He was like very seriously dedicated to his craft. And it something about watching it made me think, I know. Look, I think there's a long history of comedians doing really great dramatic work. I think if you look at Jim Carrey and Robin Williams in particular, like they nailed it every time. And I think that comedy is so hard and so kind of underrated. I think the acting skills that it takes to be a good comedic actor, people often overlook that. And something about all of that just made me think on set those days, I want to see what this guy can do in a drama. And so I always had Rel in the back of my head for like, hopefully the right script will pop up. And this is totally strange, but when I read the script for the first time that night, for whatever reason, I was only picturing Rel.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it was really wild because yeah, I didn't know if he'd want to work with me, if he would like the script, if he would like the kind of process we were going to undertake. And so it was really thrilling, because very rarely does the first person that you picture in your head, are they even available, let alone they actually want to make the movie with you.
Now I'm a big sneakerhead, and the first thing I saw were those Jordan 1s. Now, whose idea was that? Was that Rel's? Was that yours? And I loved how there's a shot where you slowly pan down and he like dusts off the dirt off of the J's, right? Like, I just got to know, like, what was like, did you want that in the movie?
So it actually was in the script.
Okay.
And we thought for a long time, like, we'll never actually get clearance from Nike to be able to use these, but they were really cool about it. And we weren't disparaging Nike in any way. If anything, we're just showing that, like, this guy's he, even within the corporate system, he was still representing his individuality in some way. Everybody else is in the suit with the mallard shoes, and this guy was always wearing his Jordans. And so that was, which particular Jordans we decided to have him wear. That was a collaboration really between Rel and me and our costume designer.
That's awesome. Now, out of all the worst types of manual labor, this old grist mill, man. Like, I was thinking back to like medieval times, you know what I mean? Like, the way that they just had to like churn corn or whatever. Like, what made it, was that in the script originally, or did you guys pick that of all labors?
It was in the script. The original script had a more modernized version of a grist mill, but it was written, I mean, in the words, it said at the center of this room sits a grist mill, the kind of thing that in ancient times would have been pushed by a beast of burden.
Yeah.
So the design was definitely to like strip the humanity away from him. And then the actual design of it itself, my production designer was in Italy and in a place where there are still ancient things. And while we were thinking about what this grist mill was going to look like, she sent me a photo of a grist mill that she saw on the side of the road. She went scouting for these things. And that's it. We just have to recreate that. The minute I saw that in the center of this cell with all these other, like, modern or futuristic or brutalist elements, I knew that was the look for it.
Yeah. Now, I read that Rel purposely didn't want to know where the filming location was, and you had to blindfold him on guiding him to set. What was it like for him seeing that set for the first time?
It was a genius move on his part, because so the day we'd been working together for months, prepping how we were going to shoot the movie, getting a look at the character down, doing all those things. And then 2 days before we were going to start filming, Rel got into town in New Jersey where we shot the movie, and hanging out, talking, kind of prepping. And I asked if he wanted to go see the set, because it had just been finished being built and painted, and the paint was drying and the dirt had just been brought in, and it was safe to walk on for the first time. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to walk him through his world and see where he was going to be spending the next couple of weeks. And he thought about it for a second. He said, no, I don't want to see it. When I see it for the first time, I want it to be like Joe seeing it for the first time when he wakes up. Maybe I should actually be blindfolded. Oh, wow. And we took that maybe and just ran with it. And so it was wild. Our first day on set, our first day shooting, in the cell, we had to walk him down this like 30-foot catwalk in the dark with a blindfold on, and then walk him on the set. And then he laid down in the dirt. We pulled the blindfold off, and when we yelled action, he opened his eyes and he saw the set for the first time. So that first take, when you see Joe wake up in the cell, that's actually the very first take that we shot in there.
Wow, that's insane, man. Well, I hope more and more people see this film. It's on Hulu. It's part of Hulu'Ween, and I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna get the word out, get people to watch this film, and man, I appreciate the time that you gave me today, brother.
Oh, I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.